Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 18 of Dirtmasters, the review series for the real rally cars of Gran Turismo 6. So in this episode, as you can see, we are reviewing the 2008 Spec Subaru Impreza WRC car. This is of course the hatchback version of the Impreza, which obviously has different weight balance and a different centre of gravity to the traditional Impreza WRC car. So how does it compare to both the other Imprezas and the other rally cars available on the game? Well, let's go to the track and find out. Now obviously this particular Impreza is on the same level as the other modern WRC cars, so acceleration and top end performance wise it's going to be pretty much the same as those vehicles because that's what the regulations stipulate. So unsurprisingly, for acceleration I'm going to give this car an average 3 out of 5. For its brakes though, I'm going to give this car a strong 5 because they do an excellent job. There's plenty of feel and they do a great job of scrubbing off the car's speed. For its low speed handling as well, I'm going to give it a strong 5, and to be honest I didn't expect to give it a strong 5. I was expecting the low speed handling to be a bit heavy and if anything a bit too grippy, but it's actually very good. And overall for city tracks I'm going to give this car a 5 because it performs really well here. So now let's see how it takes on a country track. Now as we've said before, these country based technical tracks, although being twisty, do require more of your car's top-end performance, top-end handling and overall agility. So how does the Impreza fare in this regard? Well, admittedly the handling does become a bit heavier, to be honest, on this track type. And the reason why I'm not going to give it a 5 for high-speed handling, I'm actually giving it a 4, is because although it's definitely not a bad handling car, the handling does lack a bit of consistency on this track type. Sometimes it oversteers and gets into a slide, other times it's very heavy and you're almost wrestling with the car in the high-speed corners. So overall that does stop it from getting the maximum 5 for high-speed handling, but still 4 is respectable. And overall for this track type, again, I'm going to give it a 4 because although it's not bad, it does fall behind some of its main rivals and unsurprisingly some of the more powerful rally cars. So now let's see how it tackles a dirt track. Now to be honest, I wasn't expecting this particular Impreza to fare all that well on a dirt track. I knew it would be quick, but I didn't think it would feel all that great, mainly because of its weight balance when compared to the traditional saloon-bodied Impreza. But it actually performs very well. The weight balance is very good, there's a perfect amount of grip like on tarmac-based tracks, and overall it's a very easy car to drive that will give you a very fast lap time. In fact, it is among the fastest of the rally cars that we've tested in this series so far on this track type. So unsurprisingly, it's going to get a strong 5 on dirt tracks. For drivability though, I'm going to give it a 4. And the reason why it doesn't get the maximum 5, despite having such seemingly good reviews, is because although it can give you and will give you fast times and it is competitive, it does lack some driving feel. It's kind of like the rally equivalent of the Nissan GTR. It's clinically very fast, it will give you good times, and it is competitive, but it doesn't have really the emotion of the older shape Impreza. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, because obviously it depends on what your driving style is, but for me personally, the car does lack character. So clinically it's fast, and if you're looking for a car that will give you good times and will win rallies, then this is definitely a car for you. If you like to enjoy the rallying more, then perhaps not. But overall, a very good result for dirt tracks. So let's see if it can continue that success over to Chamonix for a snow-based track. Now, some all-wheel drive vehicles do manage to shed their heavy handling and excess grip and turn out to be brilliant on snow-based tracks. In the case of this particular Impreza though, that's not so much the case. Now, it's definitely not a slow car, and it's definitely not a bad car, but there are far better rally cars that you could use for a snow-based track, both in terms of the lap times they can give you and in terms of how engaging and how happy the cars feel on this track type. And I think the reason for that is because for snow-based tracks, this particular Impreza has almost too much grip, which prevents that kind of sideways flow that you need on this track, and also because the weight balance just isn't conducive for this. The weight balance of this car's hatchback layout is more conducive to start-stop rallying, such as on a dirt track. So overall, for snow-based tracks, it's definitely not bad, so I am giving it a 4, but not a strong 5. Likewise for drivability, it's not difficult to drive, but it is one of the more heavy-handling cars that you have to wrestle around corners a little bit more than some of its rivals. So again, I'm giving it a 4 for that as well. So now let's finally go back to the garage for a roundup of its best and worst points. Overall then, this particular version of the Impreza is a very strong all-round contender. Now, as I said, I personally don't really like the lack of emotion that this car has, even compared to other versions of the Impreza. But, be that as it may, it is, as I said, still a very good rally car. It will give you great times, especially on dirt tracks, and it has a very usable all-round package. Now, as far as its best point, I'd say it would have to be what I just said, basically. Its all-round package. It's got a good amount of performance, good handling, good brakes, good drivability, and good all-round track potential in one model. Which is good, because it means you can use it as a jack-of-all-trades car. You don't need to be changing cars for different tracks. It performs pretty well on pretty much any track type. As far as its worst point, that would have to be just the heaviness of the steering, and that primarily comes into play in the more higher range of its performance. So when you're getting closer to your top speed or on a snow track, that does start to affect the car's driving line. But like I said earlier on, it's not too serious, and it's definitely far from being undrivable. Overall, as a tabulation of all of its scores put together, this car achieves 4.2 out of 5, which is a respectable rating. And as far as who I would recommend this car for, I would say just someone who's looking for a good all-round rally car that is dependable, consistent, and that will give you good lap times and numerous wins, because this car will do that. Now, it's an 850 grand car, so it's on the same level as the other WRC spec models of its time. So in terms of value for money, it's pretty much just your average WRC car, because it costs the same as most of the other ones. So as always, I'll put this car's specs, lap times and ratings in the video description below for you to compare it to the other cars of this series if you need to. And that's it for this episode, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.